Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kolst here. So I've been playing a lot of Mercenaries in my free time, so I wanted to make this guide about all the tips and tricks I've figured out on how to max out mercs as efficiently as possible. So if you're not familiar, maxing out is the concept of having all abilities and equipment max upgraded and the hero at level 30. So the reason you want to max out heroes is pretty obvious, to make them as strong as possible. So the thing that is important to know is that when you actually have a hero truly maxed, then the hero actually gets an additional +1, +5 in stats. That can obviously make a big difference in PvP. So to do this, you have to get the hero to level 30, you have to upgrade all of their core abilities, and then you also have to unlock all the equipment, which basically means you have to finish task 7, which I believe is this one. So due to the additional stats, there is a difference between like a soft max, where you would just max out whatever equipment you use, or to actually max everything. So to go through this, I'm going to talk about how to level up in the beginning. If you've already done that, you can skip till a little later when I talk about the real grind, which is how to get all those tasks and coins to upgrade all the abilities and unlock and upgrade all that equipment. And so of course, if you like the video, like it. If you dislike it, leave comments and all that stuff. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. All right, and let's talk about some comps that will let you level up as quickly as possible. So basically, you could level up with basically any heroes that are basically things that are good in PvP, but some PvP comps are built more around single target damage, and ideally in PvE, you'd rather have stuff that's more focused on sustain and AoE rather than just trying to, one-shot a hero like you may want to do in PvP. So I think there are a couple comps that do that particularly well. The first one I'm going to talk about is fire comps. So fire comp, what you have here is basically, the core is just anything around Baron Geddon. So Baron Geddon has this ability called Inferno, which just does a whole lot of AoE damage. So the way this ability works is that it deals a bunch of AoE damage, and if you fire combo, basically if you've already played a fire spell this turn, it deals way more fire damage. So essentially the way to make this fire comp work is just have Ragnaros and any other hero that actually has a fire ability. Unfortunately, there aren't actually that many options. We're gonna go here, and if you look here, you can type in fire. There's actually just not that many. Another thing that you have to keep in mind, you're like, oh yeah, I want to level Diablo, that's great. Well, the problem is Diablo's Fire Stomp has a cooldown, so you can't do it on turn 1. As far as I'm aware, the only heroes that, or mercenaries that actually have a turn 1 fire ability are Alexstrasza and Antonidas and Baron Geddon himself, and Ragnaros as well. So basically, those are your 4 options. So what I like to do personally is I actually like to have one fire trigger, which would mean either Alexstrasza or Antonidas, and Baron Geddon, and Ragnaros, because Ragnaros has a nice finisher ability, Die Insects, which will basically kill off any straggling minions that just happen to survive. So just for example, by going Dragon Breath into Inferno into Die Insects, you pretty much one-shot almost every comp. And the map that I like to do this on specifically is Zeravan. The reason that I particularly like Zeravan is that Ragnaros by himself also, part of the reason I like Ragnaros is that he actually just straight up one-shots the boss at normal difficulty with his Die Insect. So you can actually just use Ragnaros as a decoy. They'll all go after the Ragnaros and kill him. It doesn't really matter, but then Ragnaros is just going to straight up one-shot the boss. So it's great. It makes it very efficient for farming. And by the way, an important detail to note is that if you are using, for example, like Alexstrasza's Fire Breath is the same speed as the Inferno, you need to make sure that you actually fire her ability first. As long as you select it first, it will go first. So that's the important thing to know there. And also, you can speed up the animations by clicking the thing on the far left. Just makes it go a bit faster. So again, the upside to this fire comp is you just get to blaze through areas really, really quickly. So if you just want levels, that's the way to do it, I think. So the other really good comp that I've found for grinding PvE is the Holy comp. So the Holy comp is basically going to be built around, ideally, the combo of Anduin and Prophet Velen. So what you're trying to build towards, which you don't actually need to have this combo immediately, but it does help to have Anduin, obviously. So the combo you're working towards is Holy Nova. Just upgrade Holy Nova as much as possible. And Velen has this ability, Velen's Blessing, which allows you to... So essentially on turn 2, it does have 1 cooldown, but you get to just, do a bunch of Holy Nova damage on the second turn. And that's really the core of the comp. I feel, especially when you don't have everything maxed yet, it's very useful to use Zarella as well, because Blinding Lumens just really helps, especially to make sure, she can neutralize any fighter opponent, the green color, so that you don't have to worry about them. And also, She can get an AoE wand ability, the Blinding Luminance, which just helps a lot as well. That's one of the treasures that can drop. And so the upside of this holy comp, compared to the fire comp, this comp is much more resilient because you're able to stack these healing casters. You're able to just deal with a lot tougher enemies, so you're not going to be able to get through quite as quickly, but you can go through much higher level and more difficult enemies. And there's one area in particular. There is this area at the end of Felwood, which is Lord Banehollow. The boss here happens to be weak to holy damage, so you're able to absolutely obliterate him on that second turn with that double holy nova. Or even if you don't have it yet, just with whatever holy damage you're able to pull together. So again, if you look for holy damage, there aren't that many options. Zorella, of course, does have holy damage. She is free, so everyone should have that. Velen is epic, so if you've opened, I think it's like 70 packs, you get all the epics, so Velen is an option as well. Natalie doesn't work because she only actually deals damage with Shadow. But Anduin and Uthra are the other options as well that you can put in if you don't quite have Anduin yet. One of the benefits of the Lord Banehollow is that you actually do farm Anduin tokens through it. So that, you know, if you don't have Anduin, eventually you can get the coins to craft him, and then you can start to level up Anduin and, you know, use it that way. So again, this area is particularly efficient just for being able to blast through it as quick as possible, but you can actually go through other areas with a very similar comp as well, and you can also actually pretty reasonably fight this on Heroic as well. With Heroic, you do get more coins at the end, but it does probably take a little bit longer, so, you know, it's a trade-off. I think it's about the same efficiency to just farm this particular one in Heroic, but it's kind of close. I'm not sure which one's actually, it's close, I think. But as well, you can probably, would be one of the comps, you can actually go to one of the more difficult areas if you want to go to like Blackrock Mountain and actually farm, you know, one of these particular legendaries like Diablo, you could probably do that as well. And again, if you're farming Banehollow in particular, and you don't have all of the holy casters, you know, basically just any caster that deals a lot of damage is going to do pretty well as well. So one thing to know is, generally speaking, with this comp, it's probably a bit more efficient than the others to just make sure you get through as many areas as possible as quickly as possible, where with the others, you may want to consider, you know, with fire comp especially, combats are pretty nice because you can just one-shot everything, but on this comp, a lot of the XP efficiency you're getting is actually from the boss, so you just want to fight the bosses as many times as possible. And so those are the two comps that I think are really the most efficient to farm with. If you don't have some of these comps, some alternatives that I haven't tried myself, but I think would also be good, you could definitely make something work with Shadow Comp, for example. You know, Shadow Comp is, you know, essentially the same comp that you do in PvP, built around like Vol'jin, maybe Tams and Natalie, you know, these kind of heroes. You could do something there. You could probably honestly make something work with Nature Comp, I would think, as well, you know, stuff with like with Guff and Malfurion, that could work as well. You could definitely make some kind of Orc comp work. The reason I don't do Orc comp is because two of the legendaries I didn't get were Garrosh and Thrall, which are kind of important. But, you know, that would definitely work as well. That would be more focused, you know, on dealing more damage to single targets, so you can just annihilate opponents that way. And I think another good comp would be Beast comp, you know, Beast comp with like Mukla and King Crush and whatever else you happen to have. I guess Anaconda would be good with that, so that would work as well. Out of these options, hopefully you found something that you can do. If you have absolutely nothing unlocked, you can always, you know, do like a Zorella Somoro type of thing, right? Those are free, so that would work. It's not going to be as efficient as some of these other options. So with that, let's move on to the second part of the video, which is what you'll find out sooner rather than later is the true grind of the game, not really leveling stuff up, because if you look through the stuff I have here, I pretty much have everything maxed, at least everything that I want to use, and at least the things that I have unlocked. A couple of heroes I don't have. But you'll find out that the true grind isn't just to get everything to max level, it's to actually get all of their abilities and equipment unlocked and upgraded. And what you're going to find out specifically is that there's going to be a particular bottleneck, because if you're doing some of these strategies, which I'll get into a little bit later, you'll realize that you're going to get a whole bunch of rare and even the epic coins you're going to get rather quickly. But even though I've spent like a fair amount of time farming that Banehollow area with Anduin, I still don't actually have Anduin maxed. So these legendary heroes, their coins tend to drop less from areas, even Anduin, farming the Anduin area. So it's going to take, this is the bottleneck that you're going to run into, is leveling up these legendaries. So then the natural question becomes, what's going to be the most efficient way to actually level up these legendaries? So if it's someone like Anduin specifically, you do have the option of, going to the area that drops Anduin coins and then farming there. But just for the general case, some of the, especially some of the strong legendaries happen to have their area be in some of these later areas, like Winterspring and Blackrock Mountain, which are no joke, and it's actually kind of difficult to do. But just generally speaking, rather than having to try to figure out what comps work in particular areas, the thing that most people tend to be doing right now is they just go to a particular area. Actually, you want to go to the heroic area to get more tokens, and you want to go to particularly air elemental. I don't actually know particularly why everyone seems to choose air elemental. I know that if you go into air elemental, it is a very short map, as we're going to see here. It's just very, very low in number of steps, and you get to go to a mystery square very quickly. I haven't actually compared all of the areas, but people seem to have been kind of common agreement this is the area to do this. So, people are probably right here. So as far as actually building your comp for this area, you can kind of do whatever you want. Basically, whatever you actually want to level, you should do. I would recommend, generally speaking, because, the epics and legendaries are going to be the bottleneck, you should fill most of your party with these epics and legendaries. And part of that is because your prize at the end does actually include the mercenaries that are in your party. So part of the strategy here is actually to not actually finish the level, because when you get these coins at the end, if you're doing a lot of air elemental, these guys are going to be maxed instantly. And a trick that you can actually do is, instead of actually finishing the area, right when you get to, the mystery square, you either get the thing you want, which is the mysterious stranger, or you don't. You can just go straight to the party menu and then retire. And when you actually retire, you're going to get random rare coins. So instead of just maxing out those few particular rares, you're going to max out essentially every rare. You'll still have to actually get to quest level 7 with all of those rares to actually max them. But, you do this for long enough and you will actually have the coins to just max every rare. And with that, let's talk about the two main methods that you can actually get coins for these heroes, other than grinding them out in the specific area for that hero. So the first way is to actually complete the tasks for that hero. You see I have like the Lich King 17 task right here. There are 18 tasks for each hero, and for every task you do along the way, you'll get a certain number of coins for that mercenary, but also a bunch of other ones for random mercenaries as well. And there are 18 total tasks, and it is task 16, 17, and 18 that each will give you a mercenary pack as well. Hypothetically, you can get up to 153 packs this way to try to, unlock. If there are mercenaries that you don't have unlocked yet, you can unlock them that way rather than having to, buy those packs with gold or whatever, or money, or having to actually, farm up the tokens and then pay for it through 500 tokens that way. And so it's worth stating that some of these quests are actually pretty time intensive. Some of them are difficult, but also there's only so many of them. So at some point you still probably, especially for legendaries, are going to have to resort to other methods to farm up these coins. The one thing to note is that there is currently a trick to actually be able to farm particular coins, especially legendary coins, a bit more efficiently than this. So when you get towards the end of this task line, and some of them, like particularly like Sylvanas, had some really painful tasks to complete. But instead of actually getting the coins through the tasks, there is a trick. So basically what you can do is, when the mystery square, imagine this is the mysterious stranger, if your quest log is already full, it can't give you any more quests. So it's actually going to give you a compensation of, I believe, I'm not sure if it's entirely stacked, but I think it's 25 coins that it'll give you for the hero that you have. So what you can actually do, I don't have it prepared right here, but you can actually fill up your quest log. You can fill up your quest log with things that are in your party. So imagine you have 3 or 4 different things that are in your party. That would mean that it's going to always give you the option for whatever else is in your party. So if you want to level up Sylvanas, you can put 3 or 4 other mercenaries that have a quest already in there, and then every time you'll be able to pick Sylvanas, and then you'll just get like 25 Sylvanas coins. So I think that is actually probably the most efficient possible way to farm these coins, especially for these legendaries. So an important thing to note with that is, if you finish task 18, there are no more tasks, so it can't actually give you that task anymore. If it can't give you a task of anything in your party, I believe it'll give you something just completely random that you happen to own, some other mercenary. So you want to make sure if you want to level it up that way, not to finish task 18. And with that, I guess there is one other way to level up, get all these coins, which I guess I would feel foolish to not mention because this is the complete guide for how to level stuff up. And of course, the other way is the credit card, right? So you can buy bundles or whatever, which will be able to do it that way. This thing bugged? I can't actually enter the shop. That's interesting. This is the shop, right? Am I crazy? Oh, yeah, it's actually broken. Well, that's fun. But whatever. You can do it that way. The thing I will mention though is that especially for acquiring legendary coins, which is the bottleneck, just buying regular packs isn't actually very efficient because like on a good pack you might get like 40 coins. You're really not getting too much money's worth. The packs are really efficient when you're still acquiring mercenaries and want to level everything, but just as in terms of purely acquiring legendary coins, it's not that efficient. So unless you have like hundreds of dollars to throw away, you probably want to acquire those coins some other way. But with that, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Thanks a lot for hanging out. I appreciate you guys being here and hanging out till the end. Again, if you like the video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you want to see more of this kind of content, mercenaries, I usually do arena content, but if you want more of this, just make sure to leave that stuff in the comment section below. I assume if you don't, you probably wouldn't be here by now, so I don't need to address that. Oh, and also, if you know of any comps I've missed or any strategies for farming up these coins that you know about, you can definitely leave those in the comment section as well. I'm sure people will love to see it, and I'd love to see it as well. But thanks a lot for hanging out again. We will see you guys next time.